Hello and good evening. Welcome to the Mythical Ireland Library. This is Live Irish Myths, episode number 359. I'm your host. My name is Anthony Murphy. If you haven't seen us before, you are very welcome to Live Irish Myths. Whether you're watching on Facebook or on the Mythical Ireland YouTube channel, please do feel free to join in the conversation where you will find a very friendly welcome. I hope. That would be highly unusual, and it would be highly usual, and it would be highly unusual if you didn't get a nice warm welcome. It is cold, wet, and windy in the Boyne Valley this evening. It is currently 7 degrees Celsius. Yeah. We've been having a run of this kind of weather. There's to be a bit of a storm tomorrow. I think it's called Storm Chandra, I think. Could be wrong about that. So they're warning about rainfall and high tides and a bit of wind and all the rest. Sadly, nothing unusual for the time of year. I'm reminded that at the end of January, sometime around this time, last year we had Storm Éowyn, which turned out to be one of the most destructive storms in living memory. And I remember that. I was to give a talk at the Astrofest in Galway, and that event was postponed because of the storm damage. And it happened 2 weeks later in the same venue, and it was a great success. Excuse me. Yeah. I'm suffering from a bit of lack of sleep. It turned into a bit of an eventful weekend for us here. Just put it that way. I'll catch up with the comments in a moment. Don't forget, not that those of you who were listening last week could forget, we were right in the middle of the famous battle in Táin Bó Cuailnge between Cuchulain and his best friend, his sworn brother, Ferdia. And we left it on somewhat something of a cliffhanger. And of course, we did that intentionally to make sure that you came back this week, well, next week, as it was then. Yes, so on Saturday, I gave a talk about wars and battles, famous battles in Irish mythology, at the Irish Military Museum in Cuchulain. It's funny because Cuchulain is in County Louth, but the Irish Military Centre is just over the border in County Meath, just inside County Meath by, probably less than 100 yards. And thanks to Stephanie Ehlenberg, who is a regular viewer of Live Irish Myths, for the invite and the nice group that turned up, and lots of lively questions and answers and discussion afterwards, which was particularly lovely. And that moment when I talked about the Tuatha Dé Danann raising a storm on the sea, and just as I said that, this huge gust of wind blew over the building and people were laughing. And then I said, and then they said the sun would come out and shine, but that didn't happen. It sounded like my words had more power than they actually did. Anyway, let me say hello to a few people. Amanda June Haggerty is the first to comment tonight. Hello from Cork. We went on a hike yesterday and the bees were busy in the heather. Lovely sight to see, yeah. And it reminds me that we are fast approaching Imbolc. And if you haven't noticed, there's a stretch in the day. A stretch in the mornings and a stretch in the evenings. And what happens after Imbolc is the sun's daily rising and setting positions will begin to move more faster, more quickly, more rapidly. And so the difference in the length of day will become more noticeable week after week. So looking forward to brighter evenings, brighter mornings, longer days, and who knows, maybe even some nicer weather. Lily Shambles is saying, good evening. I hope all are keeping well, safe and warm this week. Well, so far, so good. Irish Military Museum, I presume that Stephanie is saying, hello, Stephanie. Thank you for Saturday. Had a wonderful time. Hope everybody enjoyed it. Big Handle 672, a big snowy howdy from Dallas, Texas. -2, and tonight low is to be -9. Wow, it's cold down there. Is that Johnny? Yes, it is. That's Johnny Wilson. Wow, that is cold. We're comparatively balmy at 7 degrees. Tuesday Thompson wishes us all a happy Mythology Monday. Many happy returns to you, Tuesday. And Stephanie saying hello to everyone on YouTube. In weather chat, whilst the UK and Ireland have got Storm Chandra, I think America and Canada win with the weather this week. It's apparently very cold in the United States. Oh, well, and in Canada, of course. Hi, Anthony. So cold here. 2 degrees, 28 Fahrenheit. It's a very, very rare day, or, well, it's daytime there, it's nighttime here. It's a very, very rare occasion on which the Texans are reporting lower temperatures than the Boyne Valleyers. Nagati Arihi is saying, Kia ora tua from New Zealand. Happy Tuesday to you, and a very good morning. Thank you for joining us. From all of us who are still in Monday, hope you're in good form, and I hope the weather over there is a bit warmer and nicer than it is here. Banachty Mighty Tua says Rex Fortenberry from a chilly 35 Fahrenheit and frozen Louisiana swamplands. I decided to take up fencing, but my neighbors told me to put it back. Yes. I told you I put up a very powerful electric fence between our garden and the neighbor's garden. My neighbor is dead against it. 35 Fahrenheit is 1.66667 degrees. That is cold. Elaine Dent Lingenfeller says, oh, that's -2 Celsius. Wow. 7. We got 4. Feels like -1 here, says Lily. Yeah, it's a night for the fire and the blanket and the old story time. Brendan Byrne is saying, hello, Anthony and the Tua. Bleatings from Glendalough, where we have 2 lakes, but might only have one big one in the morning. It's to do a lot of rain, I think, isn't it? Yes, up the goat suckers of Wicklow. The old Burns and the old Tools. Michael Pike says, greetings, Anthony and the mighty Tua. Good afternoon to you, Michael. Welcome, as always. Barbara Murphy saying, hello, everyone. I'm just checking on the madness known as the Tucson Gem Show has begun for me. So I will be hit or miss. Unfortunately, more miss for the next month. Everyone, please keep well and happy. I'll be listening as I can. Good stuff, Barbara. And I hope you sell loads. And I hope it's a good show. Ola Conrad is saying, good evening from Denmark. Snow just started again for the 3rd time already this year. -1 degrees. Wow. Looks like so far the Boyne Valley is the warmest place to be, unusually. And Scott Doherty is saying, greetings on this Mythflix Monday from you-know-where. It's 4 degrees Celsius, bracing for Storm Chandra, but it will be worse to the east. Yeah, I presume you're down ensconced in the county of Clare, Anne. And hello to yourself and Bill. Tracy Durso says it is in the single digits Fahrenheit in the Ohio and Licking Rivers Valley, Kentucky, Ohio, Indiana states region. So let's say that was 9. That's -12 Celsius. That's cold. Yeah, we can't beat that, Tracy. Rothio Marianne Lopez says, hello, Mr. Anthony and Mighty Tua again. Here's very warm today after a lot of cold winds and grey days. I hope you are all great. I heard there's some wild winds, right? I heard there's been some wild winds right there. Yeah. Sorry, just go to check. I'm tired. Apologies for that. Oh, I see this big storm coming in. Yeah, I see it on the rainfall rate. Not the rainfall rate of the satellite imagery there. Wet and windy on Tuesday. Storm Chandra tracks over the country. There will be widespread rain, heavy at times, possibly turning wintry for time. About higher ground in the north and northwest during the morning. Clearer, brighter breaks and showers will follow from the south for a time before further spells of rain spread up over the country. So there'll be showers between the rain. The rain will be persistent in the south and east, and combined with already saturated ground will lead to some localized flooding. Oh, wonderful. Nico and Stephen are saying, hello, Anthony and Mythflix family. We missed you for the last 2 weeks as our satellite company has issues with upgrade. Blessings and tail wags to Mouse's furry friends. Well, glad that you could rejoin us, and hopefully the satellite issues will be sorted out soon. Catherine Hupp is saying, warming up here in Colorado. Thankfully, 44F today after 4F yesterday. No way. What the hell is 4F? Minus 15.5. Oh, wow. Thank you, Stephanie. It was great to be there. I'm giving a talk about Zen haiku moments in Western literature in our Copenhagen haiku group, just in case SO is interested. Someone, I presume. Yeah, as much as I'd love to go to Copenhagen, probably wait till the summer. Desiree is tuning in for a few minutes before I have to go. What looks like an ominous meeting with my boss at 1:30. But I guess if I'm going to be let go for my job of 4 years, at least I'll get to catch up on my Mythical Ireland too quickly before. I was going to say I hope that goes well. Desiree, let us know afterwards, will you? Hopefully, not good if you are. But yeah. Absolutely nothing, I'm sure, to do with your work rate if that's what happens. Brian McKay is saying, hello, Fascawa Atua. Snowing hard, about 2+ feet, nearing a metre, and a baby minus, but let's call that -8 degrees Celsius. It was -20.5 the other day when I went to work. No way. Crikey. You'd need a rock hammer to get through the ice just to get to work. Peter Kennedy says, good evening from Ballybrigeen, a wet and windy evening here. Toby the Jack Russell is relaxing on my lap. Hello, Toby. A very good evening to you. I've already noticed it's lighter for next to 30 minutes, both morning and night, thankfully. Yeah, exactly. It's brilliant. Cy B is saying, good evening from Limerick. Long time no see, Cy. I'm not sure if we've seen you this year, so happy New Year. Even though it's nearly the end of January, I do apologise. I need to catch up on my sleep. Greetings from Sligo, Anthony. That's Sally Siggins. Very good evening, Sally. Hopefully you will miss the worst of Storm Chandra. It seems to be it's going to be worse in the east according to the forecast. Samantha Healy is saying hello to myself and all the Tuatha, as some people call it, the Tuatha de Danann, or the Tua de Mythflix. Oh, excuse me. Oh, this is going to be a struggle. Good day from the frozen north. Des Moines. Des Moines, La. No, it's IA, isn't it? Iowa. I was going to say it's not Louisiana. There you go. That was just silly me. Boom, boom, Anthony. Fence story. Roberta Robbins is saying, hello, Anthony from Ontario in Canada. Hello, Roberta. Very good afternoon to you. Hope you don't need a snowplow to get out and about. Snapper Earl reports, we had 20 inches of snow here in the Hudson Valley last night. Hey all, long time. Yes, indeed. Snapper, great to see you. And I hope you don't need the shovel to get out the door. -10 here, says Roberta. Cold. Lexi Erickson says, hello, everyone. Anthony, Tom on the Mighty Tua. We had a blizzard yesterday, and last night it dropped to -17F. But today it's 43F. What a swing. What a difference. 6 degrees. Just around about the same temperature as us here, where it's 7. Mavanway Millward is saying, hello, everyone. Hope everything's okay in the USA today after the winter storm. Yes, indeed. The temperatures are certainly very interesting. Mr. Anthony, may I suggest a nice big cuppa? Yes, indeed. Nice big cup of whiskey. Samantha reporting that it's 5 degrees in Buckinghamshire. Real feel 1 degrees. Wind chill factor. Brr. Yeah, 2 degrees. As I say, Elaine, it's not often I get to boast of higher temperatures than you. Sorry. I'm seeing repeated comments. Well, we know that in Ireland, they start by saying it's a mainly dry day and end up by giving instructions on how to build the ark. Catherine Cleary says, hello to everyone. So very happy to be joining you all after a very frustrating call with Apple support, trying to get help with the latest update, which is a nightmare. Need your relaxing and informative reading, Anthony, to calm down. Yes, relaxing reading about 2 friends battling to the death. Yes, indeed. Barb Jordan is saying, hi, everyone. 12 inches of snow and temperatures will be -12 Fahrenheit tonight. Wow. You're making me yawn now. Yeah, I do apologize. Shall we get someone else to read while you take a nap, Anthony? Yeah. Michael Trott is saying, greetings to us. Some summer. Almost tropical rains have hit New Zealand in the last weeks. Landslides, even six or deaths, sadly. Some slash etc. Mainly on the East Coast. Tuesday morning here. Take care in your storms. Yeah, it sounds like slightly unusual weather. Well, very unusual weather patterns over there. Main thing is you're watching us, Michael, which means you're safe and well, which is great. I'm sure you'll wake up when the battle commences, Anthony, says Lily. I wonder if all that aurora activity provoked the winter gods. I wasn't even counting wind chill. Don't even know how it felt. And moved to Denver, says Lexi. Yeah. Yeah, apologies. We ended up, my youngest was in hospital over the weekend. He wasn't well on Saturday morning. He was complaining of pain in the lower right side of his abdomen, which instantly starts ringing alarm bells. So when I got back from the talk in Cullen, he hadn't eaten and he was feeling quite nauseous and his temperature was going up. So we rang the doctor and the doctor said, bring him to the hospital. We brought him, as they say. That's a colloquialism here, by the way. We brought him to the hospital, and at shortly after midnight on Saturday night, Sunday morning, they told us he has appendicitis and we'll schedule him for surgery in the morning. And so, yes, he had surgery yesterday, Sunday, and keyhole surgery. And I'm glad to report that he's home. So, yeah, but I didn't get much sleep on Saturday night up in the hospital, which is another colloquial mispronunciation of the word hospital. Some people say hospital. So, yeah, I'm going to need to catch up on that probably. Hopefully tonight. I'm very tired, so I do apologize for that. But anyway, the great thing is that he is home and in good form and, yeah, making a recovery. So, and yeah, it was a very long night and I didn't get much sleep at all. But hey, and his name is Finn, by the way. So last week, as I said, we left the story in the middle of a climactic moment, and I said we'd finish that part of the story next week, which is now this week. So let's do that. Yeah, there isn't that much left of this entire chapter of the story, actually. And this is, of course, the battle for the bulls. Like, this is essentially most of what we call Táin Bó Cuailnge, the cattle raid of Cooley, is contained in this very long chapter that is called The War for the Bull of Cuailnge in Lady Gregory's book. And then there's another chapter and another chapter. So, yeah, we'll see how we get on. So this episode mightn't be that long tonight. I'm sure you can appreciate why, especially if I'm sending you all to sleep by yawning incessantly. I might just open the window and take a wee sup of orange. That's all that's in it. Just in case you are wondering. Leg saw that. Done. My grief indeed, he said. The fighter that is against you, Cuchulain, cast you away as a light woman would cast her child. He throws you as foam is thrown by the river. He grinds you as a mill would grind fresh malt. He cuts through you as the axe cuts through the oak. At this stage, I'm saying, yeah, right. Stop winding me up. Or maybe that's the intention. He binds you as the woodbine bites the tree. He darts on you as the hawk darts on little birds. And from this out, You will have no call nor claim to encourage or a brave name. Sorry. Wow. It appears I made a mistake in the reading. Let me try that again. And from this out, you will have no call nor claim to courage or a brave name to the end of life and time. You little fairy fighter, said Leg. He's really, really trying to get his blood up, isn't he? That's exactly what he's doing. It is then Cuchulain leaped up with the quickness of the wind and with the readiness of the swallow and with the fierceness of the lion towards the troubled clouds of the air the third time until he lit on the boss of Ferdia's shield to strike at its head from above. To strike at his head from above. And Ferdia gave his shield a shake and cast Cuchulain from him, the same as if he had never been cast off before at all. And it is then, And it is then Cuchulain's anger came on him, and the flames of the hero light began to shine around his head, like a red thorn bush in a gap, or like the sparks of a fire. And he lost the appearance of a man, and what was on him was the appearance of a god. So close was the fight they made now, that their heads met above their feet below, and their hands in the middle, over the rims and bosses of their shields. So close was the fight that they broke and loosened their shields from the rim to the middle. So close was the fight that they turned and bent and shattered their spears from the points to the hilts. So close was the fight that the Bocanochs and Bananochs and the witches of the valley screamed from the rims of their shields and from the hilts of their swords and from the handles of their spears. So close was the fight that they drove the river out of its bed and out of its course, so that it might have been a place for a king or queen to rest in, so that there was not a drop of water in it, unless it dropped into it by the trampling and the hewing and the two champions made in the middle of the ford. Wow, this is kind of climactic stuff. Marilyn Whitney, heading back to the States after 3 months on Inisheer. Missed your readings, but my internet was wonky. I missed you all. Well, I hope you enjoyed your time on Inisheer, and I hope it was let's say, very creative and worthwhile time. Just checking for other comments. So great was the fight that the horses of the men of Ireland broke away in fright and shyness, with fury and madness, breaking their chains and their yokes, their ropes and their traces. And the women and the young lads and the children and the followers of the men of Ireland broke out of the camp to the southwest. They were using the edge of their swords through that time, and it was then that Ferdia found a time when Cuchulain was off his guard. And he gave him a stroke of the sword and hid it in his body, and the ford was reddened with Cuchulain's blood. And Ferdia kept on making great strokes at him, and Cuchulain could not bear with this, and he called to Leg for the gay bullock, and it was sent down the stream to him, and he caught it with his foot. So just to explain, for those of you who are not familiar, gay bullock, it's an Irish word. It's supposed to be It's a magic spear that Cuchulain only used underwater when he was fighting in the shallow ford water of a river. He threw it with his foot, and it was a barbed spear, said to have been made out of the ribs of a fish, or a whale or something like that. And Gae is supposed to be related to light. The idea of the barbed spear, of course, being that when it went inside you, you couldn't take it out again because you'd rip the person's insides out if you tried. So you were done for once it entered your body, basically. And when Ferdia heard the name of the Gae Bullock, he made a stroke of his shield down to protect his body. But Cuchulain made a straight cast of the spear, the Gae Bullock, off the middle of his hand, over the rim of the shield, and it passed through his armour and went out through his body, so that its sharp end could be seen. Ferdia gave a stroke of his shield up to protect the upper part of his body, though it was the relief after danger, as the saying is. That is enough, said Ferdia. I die by that. And I may say, indeed, you have left me sick after you, and it was not right that I should fall by your hand. O hound of the beautiful feats, it was not right you to kill me. The fault of my death is yours. It is on you my blood is. A foolish man does not escape when he goes into the gap of danger. My grief, I am going away. My end is come. My ribs will not hold my heart. My heart is all turned to blood. I have not done well in the battle. You have killed me, Cuchulain. Cuchulain ran towards him after that, and put his two arms about him, and lifted him across the ford northwards, so that his body should be by the ford on the north, and not on the west of the ford with the men of Ireland. Another fine day on the sod, Gary, indeed. Yes, and a very, very good evening to you. Although, if the weather's like Annie has, if the weather there is like it is here, it's not a nice night. He laid him down then, and a cloud and a weakness came on him as he stood over Ferdia. Laig saw that, and he saw that all the men of Ireland were rising up to come towards him. Good Cuchulain, said Laig, rise up now, for the men of Ireland are coming towards us, and it is not one man they will put to fight against us, now that Ferdia has fallen by you. What use is it to me to rise up now, and he after falling by me, said Cuchulain. But Laig said, rise up, O chained hound of Owen. It is glad and shouting you have a right to be now, since Ferdia of the hosts has fallen by you. What are joy and shouting to me now, said Cuchulain. It is madness, and to grief I am driven after the thing I have done, and the body I wounded so hard. It is not right for you to be lamenting him, said Laig. It is making rejoicing over him should be. It was at you he aimed his spears. But Cuchulain said, even if he had cut one arm and one leg from me, it is my grief, Ferdia, not to be riding his horses through the long days of his lifetime. That's very poetic, isn't it? And Laig said, it is better pleased the women of the Red Branch will be, he to have died, and you to be living. They know it is not few but many you have sent away forever. For from the day you came out of Cuailnge to meet Maeve of the great name, it is a grief to her all you have killed of her people and of her fighting men. You have not taken quiet sleep since the spoiling of your country began, though there were a few along with you. Many were the mornings you rose up early. Then Cuchulain began to keen and to lament for Ferdia there, and it is what he said. Well, Ferdia, it is a pity for you it was not one of the men that knew my courage you asked an advice of before you came to meet me in the fight that was too hard for you. It is a pity it was not Laeg, son of Ringavra. You asked how we stood one to another. It is a pity you did not ask a true advice of Fergus. It is a pity it was not pleasant comely Connell you asked which of us would put down the other. And these men know well, he said, there will never be born one among the men of Connacht who will do deeds equal to yours to the end of life and time. And they know that if they looked among the places, the gatherings, the swearings, the false promises of the fair-haired women of Connacht, or in the playing with targets and shields, the playing with shields and swords, the playing backgammon and chess, the playing with horses and chariots, there will not be found the hand of a man that will wound like Ferdia's hand, or a man to bring the red-mouthed birds croaking over the speckled battle, nor one that will fight for Cruachan that will be your equal to the end of life and time, O red-cheeked son of Dawan. And then he rose up and stood over Ferdia. Well, Ferdia, he said, it is great wrong and treachery was played on you by the men of Ireland to bring you out to fight with me. For it has not been easy to stand against me in the war for the Bull of Cuailnge. And he made this complaint. O Ferdia, you were betrayed to your death. Your last end was sorrowful. You to die, I to be living. Our parting forever is a grief forever. When we were far away, with Scáthach the victorious, we gave our word that at the end of time we would never go against one another. Dear to me was your beautiful ruddiness, dear to me your beautiful form, dear to me your clear grey eye, dear to me your wisdom and your talk. There has not come to the battle. There has not been made angry in the fight. There had not held up shield on the field of spears, the like of you, O red son of Dawan. Findavar, the daughter of Maeve, with all her great beauty, it was putting a gad on the sand or on the sun for you to think to get her, Ferdia. Then Cuchulain was still looking down on Ferdia. Well, my friend Laeg, he said, strip Ferdia now, and take his armour and his clothes off him, until I see the brooch, for the sake of which he undertook the fight. Laeg stripped Ferdia then, and when Cuchulain saw the brooch, he began to lament and complain over him again. And it is what he said. My grief, O gold brooch, O Ferdia of the poets, O strong striker of many blows, it is brave your arm was. Your yellow hair, curled, well loved, your soft, leaf-like belt about you until death. Dear was our fellowship, dear the brightness of your eyes, your shield with its rim of gold, your chessboard that was worth riches. It was not right you to fall by my hand. It was not a friendly ending. My grief, O gold brooch, my grief. Well, my friend Laeg, he said then, come now and take the gay bullock out of him, for I cannot afford to be without my spear. So Laeg took the gay bullock out of him, and when Cuchulain saw his reddened spear lying inside Ferdia, he said, O Ferdia, it is a sorrowful story to me that I should see you so red and so pale, I with my spear reddened, and you in a bed of blood. When we were over in the east with Scáthach, there would not have been angry words between us, or destroying weapons. Scáthach spoke fiery words to us. Go, all of you, to the battle that will be fought by Germain the Terrible. I said to Ferdia and to Louis, the always generous, and to the son of Baitan the Fair, let us all go against Germain. I don't know who that is, by the way. Germain. We, all of us, came to the battleground on the shore of the lake of Lind Formach. We brought 400 out with us from the islands of the Ahisek. As I and brave Ferdia were together in the door of Germain's dun, I killed Rind, the son of Neil. I killed Rua, son of Finial. Ferdia killed upon the shore Blah, son of Kalba of the red swords. Louis killed Mogarna of the Taurian Sea, a surly, fierce man. We spoiled the dun of, I don't know how to pronounce that, Germain the crafty. We brought him with us alive over the wide sea of speckled waters. We brought him to Skahawk of the broad shield. She, our teacher, whose name was well known, bound us to friendship together, the way our anger would not turn against one another among the fair tribes of Elga. Sorrowful the morning when the strength was taken from the son of Dawan. My grief I loved the friend to whom I have given a drink of red blood. It is a sorrowful thing has happened to us, the pupils of Skahawk. Sorry. I myself red and wounded, you yourself not driving your chariot. It is a sorrowful thing that has happened to us, the pupils of Skahawk. I hard with blood, you yourself entirely dead. It is a sorrowful thing that has happened to us, the pupils of Skahawk, yourself to have died, myself to be alive and strong. It is angry we were in battle. Good Cuchulain, said Laig, let us leave this ford now. It is too long we are here. Let us leave it now indeed, my friend Laig, said Cuchulain. But every other fight I ever made was as a game and a sport, beside the fight with Ferdia. And it is what he said. Each fight was a game, each one was a sport, until Ferdia came to the ford. We got the same teaching, we got the same rewards. Our teacher was kind to us both alike, setting us both above all the others. Each was as a game, each was as a sport, until Ferdia came to the ford. We had the same ways, we used to do the same deeds. It was at the one time Skahawk gave a shield to me and a shield to Ferdia. Each was a game, each was a sport, until Ferdia came to the ford. Dear to me was the pillar of gold that I broke down on the ford. He who, when he attacked the tribes, was braver than any other. Each was a game, each was a sport, until Ferdia came to the ford, like a proud, swelling wave, threatening to destroy all before him. Each was a game, each was a sport, until Ferdia came to the ford. This thing will hang over me forever. Yesterday he was larger than a mountain. Today there is nothing of him but a shadow. And that ends the very lengthy chapter, as I said earlier, that is titled The War for the Bull of Cuailnge, chapter 11. 40 pages of a chapter. Sad. Yeah, the translations will differ, Rossio. Each was a game, each was as a sport, each was a game, each was a jest. Yeah. Sometimes it's hard to know exactly what English word is most suitable for a Middle Irish word. In Gaelic, ga, dart beam, ray of light, sting of an insect, prick, barb knot in wood, ga, torrent, flood. Bullock is belly, womb, swell. So gay bullock could be the belly barb. Yeah, because if you got it in your belly, that was you, done for. Again, as I said earlier, because of the fact that the barbed spears, yeah. Same in the way some, I don't know which ones, but I think didn't some of the Native Americans use a particular type of arrowhead that once it went into you, you couldn't take it out because it would do too much damage. Let's read a couple of pages of the next chapter, which is called The Awakening of Ulster. But I'll not be on late this evening for obvious reasons. Although I've stopped, I shouldn't even think about the Y word right now because I've kind of stopped. So let's not concentrate on that. Then some of the men of Ulster came to comfort Cuchulain, and among them were Senol Uatach and the two sons of Gege, Muirthemne and Cotriv. They brought him away to the 5 streams of Cúchulain Muirthemne to watch his hurts in them. And the Sidhe threw all sorts of herbs and plants into the streams for his healing, so that they were all strewed over with green leaves. He's getting help from the other world here. Lily hopes this chapter will be a bit cheerier, more cheerful. Well, it went about as I expected, but now I get to search for jobs closer to the Den Vatua. Sorry to hear that, Desiree. Commiserations, but at the same time, life is funny like that. You know the saying, one door closes, another one opens? Hopefully, it's something that will lead to something much better. But anyway, hope you're okay. On Cailleach says, hi. Hello, on Cailleach. Then, when Ailill and Maeve heard there were men beginning to come from Ulster, they sent Macroh, the herald, to watch at Sliabh Fuad, and to warn them if he could see anyone coming. And after a while he came back, and Ailill asked news of him. I saw, he said, one chariot only, to the north of Sliabh Fuad, and it coming straight on, and the man that was in it naked, and without armour or weapons, but only an iron spit in his hand, and he goading on the horses, as if he would never get to the army alive. Who do you think was that man, Fergus? Said Ailill. I think, said Fergus, it was Kehern, son of Fintan from the north, and he will be soon upon us. With that, Kehern came bursting into the camp, and he attacked everyone he met with his spit. And he himself got many wounds back again, so that he had to hold up the board of the chariot to his body to keep his bowels from falling out. So whoever was asking, was it Amanda or Lily? I don't think this chapter is a whole lot cheerful, judging by the early lines of it. And at last he made it his escape and came to the place where Cuchulain was lying. Then Cuchulain said to Laeg, rise up now and go into the camp and bring some of Ailill's physicians to cure Kehern. For I give my word, if they do not come before this time tomorrow, I will bring death and destruction on them. So Laeg went, and he brought back the physicians with him, and it was only the dread of Cuchulain that made them come. Then Kehern showed the first one of them his wounds, and it is what he said, that he could not be cured. Then Kehern gave him a blow and sent him out of the house. And the same thing happened with all the rest. 15 there were of them altogether. Then he asked Cuchulain, would he get him another physician? For those of the men of Ireland had done him no good. Rise up, Laeg, said Cuchulain. Go to Sliabh Fuad, to Fingon, the druid physician of Conchobar, and bid him to come here and to heal Kehern. Kehern or Kethern. Kehern, I think it would be pronounced. Now, Fingon was the greatest physician in all Ireland, and it was said of him that he could tell what a person's sickness was by looking at the smoke of the house he was in. And he knew by looking at a wound what sort the person was that gave it. Then he came, and Kehern showed him his wounds. Look at this wound for me, good Fingon, he said. There came at me 2 young men with clear, noble looks, with strange, foreign clothes on them, and each of them threw a spear into me, and I threw a spear into each of them. I know those 2 very well, said Cuchulain, They are two choice men of Norway, and they were sent against you by Ailill and Maeve. Look at this wound for me, Fingon, said Cairn. Fingon looked at it. That is the work of two brothers, he said. That is true indeed, said Cairn. Two young men came at me, and they were like one another, but one had curling brown hair, and the other had curling yellow hair. Two green cloaks about them, with brooches of bright silver, two soft shirts of yellow silk, bright swords in their belts they had, and shields with bright silver fastenings, and spears with veins of silver on their handles. I know those two very well, said Cuchulain. They are Manya Ahramel and Manya. They are Manya Ahramel and Manya Mahramel, the two sons of Ailill and Maeve. I agree with that, Brendan. Monica Regley is in the house. Back in this part of the world, Monica, or is still on your far distant travels? Reggae Rocker 22 is saying hello to everyone. Hello, Reggae Rocker 22 watching on YouTube. You're very welcome to Live Irish Myths. Look at this wound for me, good Fingon, said Cairn. Fingon looked at the wound and he said, it was a father and son made that together. That is true, said Cairn. There came at me two large men with flaming eyes, and they having gold bands on their heads, and the dress of kings, and gold swords at their sides. I know those two very well, said Cuchulain. It was Ailill and his son Manya Ando that gave you that wound. Look at this wound, good Fingon, said Cairn. Fingon looked at the wound. That is the work of a proud woman, he said. That is true, said Cairn. There came at me a beautiful, pale, long-faced woman with long, flowing yellow hair on her, a crimson cloak with a brooch of gold over her breast, and a straight spear shining red in her hand. It was she gave me that wound, and she got a little wound from me. I know that woman well, said Cuchulain. She is Maeve, daughter of the High King of Ireland and Queen of Connacht. She would have thought it a great victory and a great triumph, you to have fallen by her hand. Good Fingon, said Cairn then, tell me now, what do you think of the way I am, and what can you do for me? It is what I think, said Fingon. You will hardly see the calves that are following your cows at this time grow to be yearlings. Or if you do, trying to make sense of this. You will hardly see the calves that are following your cows at this time grow to be yearlings. Or if you do itself, he said, it will not be much use your life will be to you. That is what all the others said to me, said Cairn, and it is not much profit or credit they got by it, and it is not much you yourself will get. And with that he made a kick at him to drive him out of the house. But in spite of that treatment, Fingon gave him his choice of two things. The first, to be a long time on his bed, so that he would see the men of Ulster coming in the end to avenge him, or to be made well enough at the end of 3 days to go out himself and spend what he had of strength on his enemies. I will choose that, he said, for I would not like to leave my enemies after me. And who is there better than myself to get satisfaction from them? So then Fingon bade Cuchulain to make a healing bath that would ease Cairn. So Cuchulain went down to the camp, and he brought away with him all that he met of the cattle of the men of Ireland. Then their flesh was cut up with their bones and their skins to make a druid bath, and Cairn was put in it for the length of 3 days and 3 nights. And at the end of that time, he rose up and got into his chariot to do vengeance on the men of Ireland. And his wife, Yonda, daughter of Yochi, came to him from the north and brought him his sword that he had forgotten in his hurry at his first setting out. So this is just to show you how these imagined episodes from myths, leave a very long-lasting and one could say even permanent effect or permanent mark on the landscape. So this magic bath, which is made of the flesh and bones of cattle, is the one that is referred to in the Irish as Shmuiromar. And there is a place in the county of Louth, my county, that is called Smarmore, Smarmore, not far from Ardee, close to a place called Ballapusta, which literally means the town of the post. Smarmore. That's interesting. So it shows me a map, but I can't click on the map. Google, come on, don't make me go into the separate maps app and search in there. Why not just... It's making me do that. It's making me do that. I'm not choosing to do that. Yeah, Smarmore. It's a townland, actually. Couldn't really be called a village. Smarmore. And that takes its name from Shmuiromar, the magic healing bath of marrow that was made for the warrior Kehern by Cuchulain to heal him of his wounds. No, not smarmy, Amanda. Smarmore. Does that mean to be a bit more smarmy than usual? Smarmore? Never mind. But it happened that one of the physicians he had driven out with a blow had fallen down outside the tent and lay there, not able to stir from that. But when Kehern was making ready to set out, he rose up and made his way back to the camp. And he said to the men of Ireland, Kehern is after being cured by Fingon the Druid. And that's such an Irish way of saying Kehern was cured. Kehern is after being cured by Fingon the Druid. And he's coming at you now. And do you lay some trap for him? So it is what they did. They took Ailill's cloak and his shirt, and they put them about the pillar stone at the boundary of Ross, and his crown on top of it, and left them there. Kehern came rushing on them, and when he saw the pillar stone, he thought it was Ailill was standing there, and he made at it and gave a great blow of his sword, that it broke in pieces against the stone. Then he saw what it was, and he said, This is some trick they have played on me. And by the oath of my people, he said, I will not stop my hand from killing until such time as I have killed some man having a dress like this. Yeah, it's a good question, Brendan, to which I don't actually have an immediate answer. If Wicklow were goat suckers, what were the folks of Louth called? The Connolly Muirthemne. The wee folk, because we're from the wee county. I don't know. Yeah, good question. Louthians. Louthanians. I don't know. When Manya Ando heard that, he put on his father's armour and came out to meet him. And Kehern saw him and made for him and threw his shield at him, so that he was cut through and through the body by the rim of the shield. Nasty. And when the men of Ireland saw that, they pressed on Kehern from all sides and made an end of him. And his wife Yonda, daughter of Yochi, came and cried over him there. And then Fintan, Kehern's father, came with 3 times 50 men to get satisfaction for his son. And he made 3 attacks on the army and killed a great many of Ailill's men. But Fintan lost a good many of his own men, and his son Cribthon was made prisoner. And the men of Ireland were afraid their army would be too much weakened by little fights of this sort before the last great battle that was foretold would come. And they made an agreement with Fintan to give him back his son, and to fall back themselves a day's march. And he gave his word not to vex them again until the time of the last battle. And they found where the fight had been, one of Fintan's men and one of Ailill's men lying dead together, and they with their teeth fixed into each other. And it is from this the fight was given the name of Fintan's tooth fight. Then Rochad, son of Fahaman, came to help Cuchulain, and 3 times 50 men with him. Remember, as we've said on many occasions, 3 times 50 in Irish myth does not literally mean 150. It means an uncountable number, a large crowd. Now, Findevar loved him, and when she heard he was coming, she told her secret. And she said to her mother, "That is my love, and my choice out of all the men of Ireland." And when Maeve heard that, she made a plan to draw him off. And she said to Findevar, "Go now and meet him secretly, and bid him go back with his men until the day of the great battle. And I will give you to him for his wife." So Findevar went and gave him the message, and he went back northwards with his men. But this was heard of in the camp, and the 12 kings of Munster that were in Maeve's army began speaking with one another, and it is what they all said, that Maeve had secretly promised Findevar as a wife to each of them as a reward if he would join in the war. And the best thing we can do now, they said, is to go and avenge ourselves on Maeve's men and on Rochad for the treachery that was done on us. Probably Rochad would probably be ADH, so it'd be Rocha, I would say. Yeah, Louth is indeed named after Lou Samaldonach Fergal. 100% right. Yeah, I wonder, last battle, prophesied last battle, sounds a bit like the Revelation, doesn't it? Yeah. You never know. You have to look very carefully at the texts. Those monks were inclined to add their own elements of the story, weren't they? So they went out and made an attack on them, and Ailill and Maeve's men and Rocha made ready to defend themselves. But Fergus went out and tried to make them leave off and to make peace between them. And before he could do that, 700 men had got their death. Wow. And it was told to Findevar how these 700 men had got their death on account of her, and how Maeve had promised her in marriage to every one of the 12 kings of Munster. And when she heard that, her heart broke with the shame and the pity that came on her. And she fell dead there and then. And they buried her. Now at that time, Iliach, son of Cas of the race of Ruri, was living in the north with his son's son, Lera Boadach. And it was told him how the 4 provinces of Ireland were plundering and destroying the people of Ulster since the day before Samhain, and driving off their cattle and their goods and all that they had. So he consulted with his people, and it is what he said, that he would go out himself and make an attack on the men of Ireland, and let loose his strength on them, and destroy what he could of them, and do what he could for Ulster. For as to myself, he said, if I come out of it or do not come out of it, is all one to me. Then his 2 old spent horses that had been let loose for life were brought from where they were on the shore by the Dun, and yoked to his old chariot that had neither cushions nor skins in it. And he took his rough, dark iron shield with its hard rim of silver over his shoulder, and his rough, grey, heavy sword at his left side. And he put in the chariot his 2 rusty, blunt spears, and his people gave him a store of stones and bits of rocks in a heap about him. And that is the way he went out against the enemy, and no armour on him at all. When the men of Ireland saw him coming like that, they began mocking and laughing at him. But it is what Maeve said. I would be glad indeed all the men of Ulster to come and meet us like that. Then Ducha, son of Magach, chanced to meet him and bade him welcome. Who is it bids me welcome, said Iliach. The comrade and friend of Lera Buadach, said he. Ducha, son of Magach. I am glad of that welcome, said Iliach. And for the sake of it, let you come to me when I have spent my rage on the army, and when my strength is going, and when my hand is tried, and let you, and no other of the men of Ireland, make an end of me, and keep my sword, he said, for your friend, Lera Buadach. Then he made an attack on the men of Ireland, and when his spears were all broken in pieces, he began hitting and throwing with the stones he had. And when they were out, he attacked the men that were near him with the strength of his own hands, so that he made an end of some of them. And when all he could do was done, he saw Ducha, son of Magach, near him, and he said, Come to me now, Ducha, and strike my head off, and take charge of my sword for Lera Buadach. And Ducha did as he told him, but he brought his head to Ailil and Maeve. Shinawell. Yeah. Yes, indeed. Findavar's mother basically offered her to everyone in return for military and political favors, and came back to bite her, as they say. So on Cailleach is saying, daughter of Queen Maeve, Findabar, Fenor Upper and Fenor Lower, townlands in Meath, close to Oldcastle, and on the border of Leinster and Ulster. There's another one closer to home here. There is a Fenor close between Rossnaree and Slane, just on the southern side of the River Boyne, just west of the bend of the Boyne. What would that be? Would that be a kilometre or two west of Nowth? Fenor, yeah. But I'm not entirely sure that has the same. We can find out, can't we? There are brilliant websites these days that we can find out from. Let me just measure that now. Let me just have a look at Fenor here. I discovered a ring fort at Fenor about 5 years ago. And there's a Fenor Castle as well. Just trying to find the... So if we type Fenor, and I bet you there's going to be loads of results for this. That's a townland that I think that's fairly... Yeah, there's a Fenor in Tipperary. There's one in Kildare. There's one in Westmeath. There's one in Waterford. Another in Tipperary, Meath. Duleek Lower near Slane. That's the one I'm talking about. Meath, Duleek Upper. That's a different one. Fenor Lower near Oldcastle. Fenor South near Waterford. Fenor North near Waterford. Fenor Upper near Oldcastle. Fenor Bog. Fenor Lawns. Yeah, there's loads of them. Just want to have a look at the one that is close to Slane. Civil parish. No, it's the townland I want to have a look at. Doesn't seem to be any information on its origin here. Okay, right. No, not a lot of information going on there. But yeah, interesting stuff. So the exact part of the river where Ferdia and Cuchulain fought is not known. But of course, the town of Ardee in County Louth, its Irish name was once Áhirdia, the ford of Ferdia. At one time, you'll see on some maps and in some old records and newspaper articles, I'm talking about 19th century, you'll see it called Aherdee. So it's Aordee today, but at one time it was Aherdee, Atherdee. And that was just an anglicization of Áhirdia. So when Ferdia, Ferdia, there's lenition on the F with the H on it, or the Shevu. So that is that. What's that called? Eclipsis? No, in linguistic terms, where the FH results in the F not being enunciated. Aspirated? Is it aspiration? I'm not sure. Somebody on here might know. But Áhirdia, the ford of Ferdia. So if you ever drive through the town of Ardee in County Louth, you may notice, have a look for it if ever you're passing through. Close to the bridge in Bridge Street. See how we do things in Ireland. Long Main Street in Ardee that actually consists of 4 streets. It's just one long street, but it's broken into 4. The bit where it crosses over the River Dee is called Bridge Street because there's a bridge. And then you come down to Ardee Castle. And can you guess what the street's called when it meets Ardee Castle? Go on. Castle Street. And then it goes down further to where the Market Square was. And can you imagine what it's called down there? That's right, Market Street. What is the last segment called? Now, funnily enough, I'm struggling. Bridge Street, Castle Street, Market Street. One moment, please. I have to look at an old Ordnance Survey map. Yeah, so the long and short of it. So as you're passing over on the main N2 through Ardee, just after you pass over the little bridge, there's a tiny little car park to your left, and you'll see a bronze statue, and it's Cuchulain carrying the dead body of Ferdia. It's fabulous, fabulous sculpture. And that is Ardee. But the exact spot where they fought, not sure. Except for that the whole town of Ardee takes its name from Áhirdia, the ford of Ferdia. Sorry, no, I'm just looking at this. Bridge Street, Castle Street, Market Street, and Irish Street. I was going to say Irish Street, and I said, no, you're thinking of the one that goes up, but that's John Street. Irish Street. Now, I'm not entirely sure about Irish Street, but I would suspect that at one time during the colonization of Ireland, in other words, in fairly recent centuries, Irish Street, that was probably the part of the town where the natives lived. I could be mistaken about that now, so definitely do not take that as read. But that wouldn't surprise me, because it looks like it was outside the line of the old defences, the town wall of Ardee. So that would make sense that that's where the native Irish would live. Lily Shambles was predicting Church Street. No, not Church Street. No, Irish Street. Yeah. Right. That's it. I'm going to go and put the bins out. And I think the plan would be to get an early night. And yeah, look, we're very fortunate to have a very a decent, if somewhat overcrowded and incapable of dealing with the overcrowding health service in Ireland. Um, so, yeah, and it's amazing too how much things have changed in terms of, at one time, um, for appendicitis, the surgeon would have had to cut you open, but now they can do this keyhole stuff, and they only make very small, not even. I don't know if they call them incisions because they're little holes. They don't actually cut you open; they're little holes. And so they explained to us beforehand what they would do. They go in on the left side, and they clasp a artery that feeds the the appendix. Then they go in on the right side, and they clamp the appendix, and then afterwards they cut it off. So, and presumably stitch it up and all that. Couple of drams in and a good kip for you, Lily, says Lily. Yeah, I think I'm too tired even for that. My maternal grandmother was Mary Deary from Tydavnet. A few Deary families in Louth and Monaghan. That's true. Mark Deary, who runs the what's the very famous music venue on the quay in Dundalk called the store the oh is it it's not the storehouse, Spirit Store, isn't it? Spirit Store, yeah. Spirit Store. I presume it's called the Spirit Store because it's on the quay. That's at one time in history where the this the spirits were stored before being exported or after being imported. Anyway, there you go. Yeah, the Tua de Denver. I'm telling you, Desiree, one door closes, another one opens, and I very much look forward to hearing about your further adventures in life and what good comes of what seems to be something bad. Thanks, Adina, and yeah, to everybody, indeed, Deary is Odara. Something to do with the oak wood, is it? Yeah, very good. So, hopefully back next week. Although, let me just check my calendar before I get too carried away. What next Monday is? Oh yeah, next Monday is an annual holiday, a bank holiday in Ireland. St. Bridget's Day. Well, St. Bridget's Day is officially on the 1st. But because it's falling between St. Bridget's Day and Imbolc, I suppose we'll have to make next week's lecture. They're never lectures, I know. We'll have to make next week's episode based around the Imbolc theme, won't we? I have to say, I just really love that time of year. You just feel, okay, we've done the three shortest 3 months of the year with the shortest days and the longest nights. Now bring back the light and bring back with it the growth and the warmth. So fingers crossed. Yeah. Right, folks. I'll say good night for now, and we'll catch you hopefully then. In the meantime, Ichawa, Chulasov, Slán go fóil, agus tó go bogé. Take it easy.